You're listening to The Fire Break with Steve Wolf. Welcome back to The Fire Break. I'm Steve Wolf. As you know, The Fire Break is sponsored by Team Wildfire, developing some pretty innovative ways to control and suppress wildfire. And who knows more about that than our guest today, Keith McMillan, who is coming to us live from the Denver area in a beautiful ranch. Where are you today, Keith?
Hey, Steve. This is Ken Carroll Ranch, unincorporated Littleton, Colorado.
Wow, it is so gorgeous there.
It's wonderful here. Yeah, pretty special place.
Show us around a little bit.
Cool, love to. So I'm on a knob. Our neighborhood is divided. We have a plains section and a valley section, and this is our valley section.
Wow.
Homes look into the north there. If that ridge wasn't there, you'd see Red Rocks Amphitheater in the distance. So we're the same valley that Red Rocks Amphitheater sits in, and that's looking south on our property. So yeah, we have 5,000 acres of open space and 50 miles of private trails and about 4,000 some odd homes, mostly single family, but mixed residential, commercial too, and a business district too. So yeah, pretty big neighborhood.
That's amazing. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
And that's all a private HOA.
This is a private HOA. Yes, all open space for residents only.
So let me guess. Part of your job is to make sure the neighborhood doesn't burn down.
That is part of my job. Thank you. Yeah. So I'm one of our. We're lucky enough to have a park ranger division with so much open space.
Wow.
So yeah, I fit in under the park ranger division. So technically I'm a park ranger, but I'm employed as a wildfire mitigation specialist here.
Wow. So part of your job is to keep Yogi from stealing picnic baskets. Is that right?
It's true. Yeah. Yeah. Luckily we have 7 campsites up there too. So some of it is campground management too. And that's all my other ranger duties as assigned, which are all new and exciting to me. So I come from a wildfire world. I did 26 years of fire service before taking a job as park ranger.
Wow. And where were you located during your 26 years?
All up in the mountains of Breckenridge, so ski resort area. So mostly Summit County.
Very interesting. So tell me, what are some of the strategies that you're using to keep this HOA from igniting?
Thank you. Well, igniting, I wish I could keep it from igniting. So we do have, right, exactly. So we do have a pretty rigorous education and outreach program here in our neighborhood. We've had we've been a Firewise community for over 10 years. And this is actually where I live too. So I have been on our Firewise committee since starting it here. And starting to get a lot of the education and outreach going along into community. About 2 years ago, I went to the neighborhood, and after I retired from the fire service, asked if I could work here. And they said absolutely. So I'm kind of proud to be a wildfire mitigation specialist on staff for a private community. So, and I'm not sure if we have many others yet, but I do believe it's a great new model, especially for some great experienced wildfire guys finding their way post-fire life. So
it sounds great.
Yeah.
It sounds a lot more comfortable a place to live than crawled up in a sleeping bag on a rock somewhere.
Yeah, so I've had a special opportunity with being part of this community for quite a while and seeing the opportunities that they're putting into place here. So I'm actually calling you from a fuel break right now. So you asked some of the strategies we're doing. We do strategic mowing. We do a 30-foot wide fuel break right behind us here. You can see the sign there.
Let's see that.
Yeah, I'm parked right here in a 30-foot fuel break, just through grasses. So our theory on that is a little pre-established fire line control point gives access to the fire department, possibly on the right day, could prevent spread from more open space into our residential built environment. But we try to do this 30-foot mow break around our entire valley community area. Our
Okay.
plains area is full of roadways. They still have a wildfire threat, just like the Marshall Fire taught us. Anywhere in Colorado could be a threat now. But our primary threat area is our true WUI area, and that's where I end up spending most of my time over here. So we do the 30-foot fuel break. We tie it into our roadways. We also tie it into the Excel power line work that they do every 5 years. And we have a nice fuel break around the whole valley side, tied into roadways or other fuel breaks.
This really sounds like a model community way to do it.
I think so. We've tried other strategies in the past. When I first joined, we were mowing the 10-foot interface zone right behind every homeowner's house. But that was so labor intensive. It was like trying to walk all the tributaries of the Chesapeake Bay with all the fingers of fuel that come into the neighborhood. And
Right.
that took two of our staff members about 6 weeks to complete. And then when they were done, it was time to start the cycle again. So
It's like painting the George Washington or the San Francisco Bridge.
yes, exactly. We cleaned it. Now it's time to clean it again.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
So we've kind of transferred away from that direct WUI boundary, and we now put a perimeter a little bit off of the WUI boundary. It's a little bit better use of a limited budget and our staff time to complete some type of fuel buffer around the neighborhood.
Okay, so you do mowing.
We do mowing. Yep.
And
We
then
also
you
mow
do any
off our
prescribed
tiles.
burns?
We haven't done prescribed burns in years. And we just recently started talking about them again at our Firewise committee. Everything is dependent upon fire department cooperation first.
Okay.
So, in the past, we've opened our land to some prescribed burn training opportunities for our fire department. And we're looking for opportunities to do that again in the future here. So we do have a lot of grasslands that would be good candidates for some control efforts through here.
And how are the winds there?
Winds are at any time can be challenging, definitely. Right now, we got a nice light wind out of the south, nice warm and dry. I always look for those hot, dry southerly winds. Those get the back of my hairs on the back of my neck standing up. But as you know, we have the Chinook winds here too. And yeah, we're coming up on our windy time of year, so we're getting geared up here.
So when I asked about mitigation strategies for the community, you said that you had a big education and outreach program.
Yes.
How much correlation do you see between education outreach and actual compliance and follow through?
It's tough. It's very tough. I tell people all the time, one of my favorite parts of my job is meeting with homeowners and developing that individual plan for them, which is a service we provide here at Ken Carroll, free of charge, and it's a voluntary program. But my favorite part of my job is seeing those implementations come to fruition as I'm driving the community. Unfortunately, I do know that even with a detailed report that I'm giving to some homeowners, I know some work can be completed, and I know some may or may not be completed. So yeah, education and outreach is a step, but that's one of the reasons why I went to the neighborhood and asked to work here, because I felt like we needed to take it up to the next level here.
Yeah.
And they sure have. They've committed to, I have a budget, and I use most of my budget for contractor-led fuel reduction projects. Our budget's $125,000 a year, which is pretty dang good, and we can do a lot of good work with it. Not all our work is through contractors, though. We also have a very active trail club here, and they're our number one workforce in the community. And they're the ones who are showing up on my volunteer fuel cleanup days, too. So without the trail club, well, I mentioned that we have 50 miles of private trails here in the ranch, and we have a reciprocal deal with our neighboring community who also has a lot of trails. And by volunteering in the community on the trail system, you can earn trail access to our neighboring community. We have allowed our people to get hours by doing fire mitigation too, as well as trail work. So sometimes they don't want to go up and volunteer way up high in the hills, and we offer another opportunity for getting some community hours close by to the built environment, doing fuel mitigation.
Given the financial cost of a fire in the neighborhood, even a single house, I'm going to guess is, in the $500,000 range on average. I'm wondering why they've given you such a low budget. $125,000 for a 4,000 home neighborhood. Basically, every homeowner is putting in like $31 a year.
Sorry about that, Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
obviously,
I would think, like, if you got $500,000, why would you only spend $31 towards your protection efforts?
Sure. I think we're getting there with our budget. We've only had this budget for this is our second year now.
Okay.
So we are making progress. One of the neighborhood prides itself on keeping the HOA dues low, and you get a lot for your money here. So
okay.
it is a challenge. The neighborhood is taking well to the efforts, though. So I can only see this expanding.
I hope so, because I suspect people are spending a lot more to have people come pick their weeds and keep their lawn green than they're spending on fire mitigation.
It's true, and part of the pushback I get is the balance of aesthetics and habitat and the critters, and
Sure.
and there's always other sides to the story. I try to bring balance to people's viewpoints on where they want to commit their efforts around their property. With a voluntary program, I really have to come at it from an education standpoint.
Yeah.
But also the 26 years of fire experience, it gives me a lot more validity when I'm explaining the why to the homeowners here.
Absolutely.
And I think that's one of the things that goes the furthest with them, is that I can tell them exactly why and give real world, examples from seeing it all out in the field. So
I wonder if it ever backfires, though, if people think, well, I don't really need to worry about mitigation here. We got Keith McMillan on staff. If anything goes wrong, he's going to take care of
it. That's yes, it is a common misconception. And we've had several fires since I've been on duty here. And I do get quite a few phone calls during incidents asking what to do. And I said, well, you should have been listening when we did the meeting ahead of time. Now's not the time to call. But I appreciate your enthusiasm.
Right.
Yeah, no, the common misperception I get is the fire department will handle it, and yeah, the more services you provide, sometimes it does take away from the homeowner need to really get involved. So it is a fine balance.
I mean, they still need to get involved, but it maybe reduces their perception that they need to get involved.
Of course.
So in your education program, of the things that people have been adopting, which is hopefully some things, what are the things that you're seeing people do, and what are the things that people typically are not doing?
The biggest thing people are doing is the home hardening and the first 5 feet.
Okay, great.
And that's easiest on their hearts. So people have no problem hardening the home against ember ignition, except if it's a juniper right up against their wood siding. A lot of people are attached to the vegetation. And this community was, built in the 70s, started in the 70s, and we were not thinking about how we plant our landscaping back then. So we're left with this beautiful neighborhood. It was once in the Tree City USA registry, but that just makes my job a little more challenging with all the vegetation here.
Right.
So we have got some room to make up. I'm really encouraging homeowners to start with the home hardening in the first 5 feet.
Yeah.
We have made some covenant changes, so we're not allowing junipers on the ranch anymore.
Good job.
We're not allowing mulch in the first 5 feet anymore. None of this is retroactive, though. This is only for new construction. So a lot of it, this is where the education and outreach, we cannot make you do a darn thing. but we sure are encouraging you to take care of your first 5 feet, because we've all learned if we get one going on the wrong day, we're going to get a block going, if not worse. So
Right. So when one person's house goes, at that point, your effort is really about keeping it to that block.
exactly.
Yeah.
And and from a fire response perspective, I educate people on the structured triage system, and how many I've had to do and how many I've had to say no, this is a write-off, and walk away from it. The
Mm-hmm.
heartbreak of it. And so I use the triage system as a teaching tool. So I will score the home based on firefighters' triage criteria and let them know where they stand in the eyes of the fire service. And I will say, right now, you're looking at a home that could be written off and left to chance. So,
Is one of the factors, in the triage process, firefighter safety itself? And does it look like we can get in and out intact?
So exactly, yes, you're darn right. And first thing on there is just you don't even have to go through the scoring system. You can just use first impression. Is the driveway covered? Can we turn around? Can we park here? Do we have any defensible space? Has the homeowner really done anything to make it safer for the response personnel? That's what it's all about, really. Remembering firefighters will risk everything to save a life. They'll risk a little bit to save property, and they'll risk nothing to save something that is unsavable. And that could be your home. If it's that bad, they will just walk by and pick a better home to defend.
Have you ever done a juniper burn there as a demo?
Oh, not as a demo. So I have videos of juniper burns all on I send out a resource list. After I go to a home, I develop a written report, and then I email it to the homeowner. And with that report comes my Keith's resource list and pro tips. So, and on that resource list of what it looks like when you've got 3 cubic yards of junipers burning next to your home. So, it does come with a disclaimer. There's a time-lapse video of the Waldo Canyon fire down in Colorado Springs, where it just burns out of the mountains like a blowtorch. I have the time lapse on there because that's the neighborhood I consider Ken Carroll most similar to, is that Mountain Shadows neighborhood that was destroyed back in the Waldo Canyon fire. So video of that is on there, and then I also link all, of course, Firewise USA and Ready Set Go and wildfireready.gov. All the programs out there, but then it's got a little more hitting home stuff on there. I tell people, check your own discretion, but I kind of got to the point where people need to know what he's capable of. So I'm a little bit more direct in my communication these days, and the truth.
That's what a great resource you are to that community. Let me ask you a little bit about Ready, Set, Go as it applies to your neighborhood.
Yeah.
Ready, I don't people generally think of, I've got a go bag and a radio, I'm relatively ready. Set, something is imminent, ready to walk out the door, keys are in the car. But what about go?
Yeah.
Go is kind of a more ambiguous thing, because where do you go?
Right.
How long will you be there? If you go and there's nothing back home to come home to,
of course.
How secure are your evacuation routes that you're not going to die in your car like the people in Paradise did?
All great questions here. Luckily, our evacuation routes are in very light and moderate fuels only. We do not have any threat of evacuating through national forests, such as like Paradise, California did. So our evacuation routes are much more secure than, say, heavily forested area. A lot of grasses along our roadways. And on my contracted project work, priority areas are egress route improvements and community infrastructure protection, including our drainage ways, which are overclogged with hazardous fuels and now posing a flash flood and debris flow problems. So I focus a lot of contractor work in those areas first, because I feel like I get the most bang for my buck and doing the most good for the community as a whole. The valley side here, we're very limited in our egress routes. So part of the one-on-one meetings that I do with homeowners is not only about the fire mitigation and what to do to the home and prepare it, but how to prepare yourself to evacuate properly and safely. We publish an evacuation for our community here that shows you route options only. We don't have any pre-identified route. If the fire's here, go here. I teach everyone to stay alert to where the fire is. I teach them, if I get a pre-evacuation alert, the first thing I do is I go outside. I want to see where that thing is and kind of get an idea of how much time I have personally. So I really teach people how to think like firefighters on the day of. We talk about route selection based on where the fire is, trying to get an idea of where the fire may be going based on wind and topography. So we talk about that a little bit in the coaching sessions. But the first hour of our meeting is a fire-wise mitigation. And then if they're interested and they have time, I do a second hour of evacuation prep strategies, safety, and procedures. So everything from how to dress, how to stay safe inside the vehicle. I teach people that firefighters are actually trained to take shelter inside of a vehicle if they're going to be burnt over by a grass fire. Yep. You know, it only works for small grass fuels, but luckily that's what our evacuation routes are surrounded by. So I teach everyone not to run. I teach everyone to stay calm. I teach everyone to, instead of taking off their fire shelter and lining the windows for radiant heat, I teach people to keep a reflective sun visor in their vehicle year round. I teach them how to use biohazard safety mode in your vehicle's air conditioning system. I say that lightly, it's the restart button. Right. I did see a story recently from California, how a Tesla automatically went into biohazard defense mode and saved residents in the fire evacuation. Wow. I chuckle, and I love it. I love that. But when it comes down to it, all that is for non-Tesla drivers, it's hit the restart button on the dashboard. So we're not bringing smoke and contaminants into our clean into effect. So we go over a lot of stuff like that.
And cars burn much more easily from the inside than from the outside.
Exactly. And you know, through your experiences, it's not going to blow up right away.
No, right? It's not. It's hard to get it to blow up.
Exactly. So we deal with a little bit of the Hollywood, getting past some of the Hollywood stereotypes of fire too. So
is there ever an evacuation scenario where the fuels, the speed of the fire and the fuels that are downrange are so much greater that your best shot is punch through the front and land in the black?
You're darn right. And that's what we talk about too. We talk about pre-identified safety zones throughout the neighborhood that we already have and that the fire department knows. And they're mostly at the schools. We've got two beautiful primary schools here in the valley with big safe zones. So I teach residents to know where their safe zones are. I teach them once they're out of the built environment and on our roadways, they're much safer once they're away from the bigger fuels, which are mostly our homes here. So once we're on the outskirts on our roadways, we're much safer. We do have one choke point in our main egress route, and it cuts through a crack in the mountain. And that's got the heaviest fuels of all of our egress routes. And one of our contractor projects this year is we're going to separate all the volatile oak brush from the lower riparian stream bed that flows through that crack in the mountains. It's 2 lanes each way coming through there, heavy oak brush on one side, minimal vegetation on the other. So we're going to separate the hazardous oak brush 30 feet up, and we're also tying it into the rock outcropping. So if we do get a fire, say on the 470 side of our hog back there, the chances of it wrapping around to the neighborhood side are also lowered by managing the fuel right there in the egress route.
And so that'll happen. They'll move all the heavy oak to the leeward side of the road, huh?
Exactly. So we'll keep all the heavier stuff uphill from the roadway, keeping it just riparian and a damp climate through there. So that's one of our bigger projects that's going to happen this year.
You got your hands full there, Keith.
It's wonderful. It is absolutely wonderful, Steve. I'm part-time. I told you a little bit that I retired from the fire service. I didn't want to retire. I had to retire. I was done. I had some on-the-job injuries. I never made it fully back. I was given an impairment rating, meaning, yeah, you're still good enough to do the job. But the joke is that I had 8% full body impairment, but get back out there and keep doing the job. So our crew was like, let's get out there and give it 92%, guys. So
that's a lot more than most people.
Yeah, unfortunately, Steve, it got the best of me. It was a wonderful ride, and I wouldn't change it for anything, but I had to tap out.
Yeah.
And I thought I was tapping out because my body gave up. I went through the disability process, which is nerve-wracking and traumatizing in itself. I thought I was applying for disability because of physical ailments, and in the end, I was retired because of PTSD, and I really didn't even realize how deep in it was.
I imagine that, or they're also calling it PTSI now.
Yeah,
right.
Right.
It's not a disease; it's an injury.
It is.
Right.
It is. It is.
But it's so pervasive that's really interesting that you didn't even realize, that you had been impacted by this, possibly because all of the people around you were equally impacted and you fit right in.
Of course. It takes a special person to be able to do that job. And a lot of it is how we handle our emotions. So a lot of us come to that job already carrying some deep baggage. And that's what makes us special, to be able to do that job. A lot of us come there already holding a lot, and you don't realize it. And it makes us great at our job. It catches up to you. A funny thing, Steve, is that I say COVID saved my life, because I was stuck in fight or flight for years, not having any clue, just putting one step forward and trying to hold it together, for a family, for a department, for a crew, for myself, for my kids. Yeah, I was sick, and I didn't even realize it until I got isolation time for COVID. Yeah, and it gave me really time to reflect about how sick I was. And I never went back to work after that.
Good for you.
I started the short-term disability process while looking for help through the system and the identity crisis that came along with it. It was hard. I'm sorry I'm emotional, but...
I'm not sorry you're emotional. I mean, you're a human being, and we're made of emotions.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, firefighters, we suppress it for too long. So sometimes when it does come out, it's uncontrollable.
Yeah.
One of the things that I started to deal with, Steve, is that, you push it down for too long, and there's only so much you can push down, and it has to come out eventually. And mine did. Mine came out through something, I don't even know if I'll get it right. FND, functional neurologic disorder. And my understanding is basically everything I pushed down has been pushed down and kept down for too long, and now whether I want to or not, it's going to come out. Okay. And mine came out through anxiety. I developed a new stutter, and I started having uncontrollable muscle movements. and it was very apparent in public places. And it came to a point where I couldn't even go to the grocery store without major neurological challenges that looked like something like cerebral palsy. Just incredibly difficult to control my own body, and it was very apparent out in public and in stressful situations. So one of the reasons it took me so long to even get back to you was talking myself into doing this. So,
I'm so glad you did, Keith.
me
And,
too.
and I'm looking around behind you, and it seems like you've done a really great job of creating a less stressful environment for you to not only work in, but to continue recovering in.
It's wonderful. I call it like fire, and I didn't know it would be this good because of the unknowns. You know, fire's all I knew. It was everything. I didn't come to fire with a college degree either. I came to fire with a heart for helping and a desire to do something meaningful. Not anything I ever knew I'd be doing.
Right?
And I'll tell you a funny story. Every in high school, we used to do the college aptitude or career aptitude testing. Every one I did, I said I was supposed to be a park ranger.
Really?
It
Wow.
didn't say win in life. That's it. It said I'm supposed to be a park ranger for my heart.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Those tests, I have to say, I don't know if they do them anymore. I remember doing it in, I don't know, fourth or fifth grade, but I thought they were really accurate too.
I never thought they were that accurate until now. So,
Ah,
but
okay.
I get a really kick out of that, and I love sharing that story. So, uh,
So,
my guidance counselor an apology. So,
uh, right. Well, so I'm curious if, in the time that you've had to reflect on your career outside and your heart inside, if you're starting to see corollaries there. We know, if a neighborhood's fuel load is high, the importance of the first 5 feet, the importance
mhm,
of the home hardening, right? And
yeah,
so what happens, when you're getting, emotional fuel buildup,
mhm.
what's the equivalent of your first 5 feet rule and your home hardening? How do you protect yourself, not from the fuel load, but from the emotional load of what you're experiencing?
Gosh, man, it's the $1 million question, and so important these days. First of all, just being able to talk about it and admit it is 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 the best thing. Firefighters, we have to be tough, but we don't have to be tough all the time. Uh, and in fact, I think true toughness comes in vulnerability. I think the first thing is speaking up. We have to be comfortable enough to speak up, and I think it starts at the crew level. One of the most important lessons I took as a company officer in my time is that the crew is the most important part, and that's where difference. Um, you're most intimate with your crew. It's your second family, and we have to be able to talk about harder things other than just the BS stuff and using humor as a tool for our own well-being.
Well,
Sometimes humor is not enough. The lesson that I wanted to share is that I had a driver. I'm not going to use his name because everyone knows that, but he had a very distinct nickname. And in fact, most of us didn't even know his real name because his nickname was so predominant. But our schedule, we did 2 full days together, 48-hour shift, and then we took 4 full days off, 96 hours. So 48-hour, 96.
yeah.
So at the beginning of our work week, the first thing we do is we check the equipment. We check the truck, we check the rig, we check all of our tools and equipment, make sure everything else is ready to go. But then after we do that, we had to do a crew check-in, because one of our crew members, whether you wanted to hear it or not, he needed to tell you about his 2 days off, and he needed to share, and so we could get about our day. And so we started. We named it affectionately after the driver, but it ultimately comes down to when you start that shift, it's truck check, and then it's crew check.
And what does crew check look like?
It's a venting session, and it involves listening, and it could be anything. It could be relationship challenges. It could be parenting challenges. It's just life challenges, and it's a check-in to see what your people are dealing with, know where they are mentally and emotionally for the job that we're about to do and to be called on to do, because you never know what you're called to do.
And so important. You know, if you want to know, is this fire truck going to make it up that hill? You'd refer to the last dyno test and see what the actual effective horsepower is, not what the rated horsepower was the day it left the factory, right? And the same thing, right, with your crewmates. You're expecting 100% from them, but if you're going to only get 92% physically, or 40% emotionally, or 20% cognitive processing, that doesn't mean they're not your crewmate and you're not going to go handle this job together, but it sets a realistic expectation of how much input and how much productivity you can get from that person on that day.
Totally.
Yeah. You don't want to be right. You don't want to be hanging on the end of the belay there while your partner just found out that he's on his way into a divorce or something. Like,
of course,
that's something before you hand them the rope, right?
Of course. It's physically, what can they handle, and emotionally, what can they handle today?
Yeah.
And I didn't have to always know how to do everything on the job site, but I had to know who could, and I also had to know whether they were capable.
Yeah.
So it builds up. I'm seeing it now as I age in the career. I'm still very tied into the fire service, and I see it all around me. And I've been lucky, Steve. I have found a wonderful, wonderful community of support for stuff I didn't even know that I needed. And
wow.
And it's pushed me further than I thought capable. It's involved a lot of group therapy, which does not come easy.
Right.
And with like-minded individuals, I have new lifelong friends through this community, some of which are Green Berets, some of which are fire and police and EMS, and some of which are regular people, just who's struggling. The struggle's real. No matter what occupation you're in, the struggle's real these days. So, and I'm more in tune to it now, and I see it. Yeah. So that's going to be my superpower, I think, through this whole
is,
thing.
Keith.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I had nothing to do with your success on your journey there, but yet I still feel the need to tell you how proud of you I am.
Thank you, Steve,
for the work you've done and the work that you're still doing on yourself.
Well, I can say that I am very proud of your journey, because I followed some of your journey, and I love ancient history. So I you know where I'm going. I have seen your face. I have seen your face for years, and have always appreciated you bringing science and history together. So I'm a huge fan of the ancient impossibles, and those were always. And I'm like, when I first got your invitation, I'm like, why do I know that name? And it wasn't because of your work in the fire industry. It was because of your work in science and history. So thank you for that.
That's so funny.
But I really am impressed with some of your new technology, and I would love to come up to the lab and see what you're doing up there. I love an
We've
environment.
got a massive 60,000 foot lab now
I
where
love
we're
that.
designing hardware, software, and chemistries to really do a roll up on
Wonderful.
on how we go about managing wildfire.
Hmm.
'Cause as you know, not much has changed on the protection side in the last 100 years,
Of
uh,
course.
but the nature of fire has changed dramatically. So it's just nothing wrong with the way things came to be. It's just
Sure.
the way they are now, just not a match for the new challenge.
Of course. Exactly. And nothing I do is rocket science. You know,
No, right?
I use simple campfire physics in what I do, but I also believe that being able to explain it with campfire physics goes a long way too.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, it's a long road. The model has changed, no doubt. If we were still under different conditions, maybe we'd be okay. But I tell people all the time, uh, my thought is I don't really care what you believe in climate change. I think Mother Nature believes in it, and the question is, do we want to adapt? I'm not here to blame. I'm not here to point
right.
fingers. I know the Earth goes through natural cooling and heating cycles, and I know humans are not doing anything really great to the planet, but I'm not going to
Not at
blame
all.
us 100%. My question to humanity is, do we want to adjust? We don't. Wildfire does not have to be absolute destructive. If I told you you could go outside, do a little bit of landscaping, and it would help a hurricane avoid damaging your home, would you do a little landscaping?
Sure.
I think the answer would be yes. But I think fire is something that we can make a major impact on how devastating it is to our communities. So, and
Yeah, and
I'm,
it's kind of unique among natural disasters there.
it
It's the
is.
one disaster we really can impact the outcome significantly.
I think so. I think so.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be catastrophic. So,
Nope, it doesn't.
right.
Wow. Well,
So yeah,
you know,
I've found a nice little post-fire niche that I absolutely love here, Steve. Thank you for letting me showcase it. This is a unique opportunity. It's not going to happen for every retired firefighting just going to your neighborhood. Your neighborhood may not be set up with an infrastructure that is conducive to this. But the point is that you never know unless you try. I teach my kids all the time. Unless you ask, the answer is no. And that's what I did. I went to my community. I had an established relationship, and I asked if I could work here. And they said, absolutely. And I think it's really groundbreaking for an HOA. In fact, I don't know of another one that has a wildfire mitigation specialist on staff. Um, but they
it's the
hired me
future,
without it.
though.
I think
It's
so
the
too.
future.
I think so too. I think there's lots of places to insert these new professionals. And the certification is one thing, but having the real world experience that comes with it is even more important, I think. It's a
No, absolutely.
wonderful, wonderful, wonderful career route for life after fire. If anybody wants to chat about that or PTSD, I would love to flash my business card up so we have it recorded, if that's okay, Steve.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, people, please reach out, whether it's life after fire, post traumatic stress, um, or getting involved in this community of support that I have. Um, it's been a long road, but it's been a wonderful one. So,
Well, you're only halfway down it.
hallelujah to that. So yeah,
Great. Keith, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you sharing about your personal background, your struggles, how you're taking the skills that you developed over 26 years and you're applying them towards making life safer for a community, for the people who live there, for the children who play there. So
thank you,
good
Steve.
on you, my friend. Good job.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate your work you do. It takes all levels. Mine happens to be just extreme local, and that's what matches me. So, but it takes all of us, whether at the international level, at the podcast, bringing awareness and highlighting all these other professionals like you do out here. It's so awesome. I love the work you do. Thank you so much. Thank you for bringing this community of professionals together. And I can't wait to come up and see what you got going on there. And as well, I
me
would
as
love,
well.
yeah, I got a front right seat. You have to sign the waiver, but I'd love to give you the full tour. There's so much more we're doing here. They have me consulting on covenants and codes and ordinances. So yeah, lots of stuff going on here. We're trying to share it with anyone who wants to listen.
Wonderful, Keith. I
Right
will
on.
definitely put your contact information on the link
Okay,
on the podcast. And
cool.
thanks so much for joining us.
Can
We've
I
been
flash
chatting
the
with.
business card up there?
Yeah, go ahead, flash it up here.
Just in
You have to
case. All right.
hold it really close and hold it still for a minute. And that'll work.
That'll work.
Great. Okay, excellent.
All right.
Thank you for that, Keith. And I hope people reach out to you. Chatting with Keith McMillan, live from the central area of Colorado. Just doing amazing work, taking the lemons and making the lemonade. Well done. I'm Steve Wolf. You've been listening to Keith McMillan and I here on the Fire Break. And until next time, boy, take Keith as an example and harvest together the background of all of your experiences. Figure out what the best thing to do with them going forward is. Till I see you next time, be well. Take care.